Alright guys, so for today's video we're going to be making some stuff for the front porch for fall, and I started by grabbing these three signs from the Dollar Tree. I got all different ones. They had three different ones. Depending on how you want to do it, you could get all of the same if you weren't going to use the words on it, but I wanted to try and use the words while still painting this. So I used my hair dryer, or you can use a heat gun to warm up the glue to get the bow off, and I'm just going to use some lightweight spackling from the Dollar Tree to fill in the holes on just one of the pumpkins. And then I'm going to give them each a couple of good coats. I'm going to be using moss from Waverly, and then I believe silver lining and pumpkin. And I'm going to show them all to you. But you can, of course, do whatever colors you want. And then I do go in with some brown paint as well and paint up the stem just to clean it up and to give it a slightly darker look. But this is, of course, going to be all just for your own taste and colors and whatever it is that you're going for your look. If you're new here, my name is Leanne and I love sharing easy, budget-friendly DIYs with you here on this channel. And I would love it if you would consider subscribing if you have not done so already. If the subscribe button down below the video is still red, then you're not yet subscribed. So make sure you click that button and turn on the notification bell, which is right next to it. And that just makes sure that YouTube, hopefully, they don't always do it, but should let you know when I post a new video. So here I am doing my third one. I tried to pick the colors based on what they already were so that I wouldn't need too many coats of paint, but I did do 2 coats on each of them, I believe is what I ended up doing. Once I had a couple of good coats and it's all dry, we're going to go in with some antique wax, and I'm going to do kind of like a dry brush. I'm going to start by emphasizing over the metal words that were on there because I wanted them to pop out, and then I'll kind of blend it in a little bit better. So I didn't want it to be, I could have taken them off and painted them separately, but I kind of wanted it to blend in a little bit while still having the words on there. So that's how I chose to do it. I'm just dipping a stencil brush into some antique wax and then dabbing a lot of it off, and then we're just going to dry brush. I do go around the edges, and then I also go do some of the lines kind of in the shape of a pumpkin to kind of help give it, you know, the curves of a pumpkin. And you can do as much or as little of this as you want. Like I said, I started out by just kind of emphasizing the words, but you could also take those words off and just flip the signs around and just simply paint them a solid color and have no words, or add on your own words. Like if you can't find these particular signs from the Dollar Tree, you can just get the ones that don't have this on it. But I had them and I liked them and I wanted to try to use them, and I really did like how this came out. And you'll see some of them I have it a little bit heavier than others, but yeah, just do it to your liking. Once everything is painted and dried, we're going to start attaching them. Now my front porch gets a lot of sun and it's still very hot by us, so I didn't want to just use hot glue because hot glue will soften as it warms up, obviously. So I'm using wood glue, and then I'm also just using a little bit of hot glue just to kind of give it that immediate hold while the wood glue sets, because the wood glue has takes a little bit more time to set. Once I got these all attached, I did put some things that were heavy on top of them just to help them really, set. And this is why I did not cover up the holes on all of them, because I knew I was going to be slightly overlapping them, so I didn't worry about it. I just made sure to do it on the top one. And then I wanted to do a little bit of embellishment, but nothing, too much. So since this was for outdoors, not that I don't use raffia indoors, but I wanted to kind of go for the straw look. And raffia you can tie it sometimes, but it will also sometimes rip on you. So I just kind of folded the raffia till I had what looked like a bow, and then I just used a little bit of hot glue and another piece of raffia and wrapped it around, securing it with some glue, and that was it. And then to attach it, I first did hot glue, and then I remembered, I was like, this is not going to hold in the heat, so I did go in and add a little bit of wood glue. I don't know that that made the most sense, but it's what I had on hand right next to me while I was in the middle of this. So I did that, cleaned up the mess I made. That was a little sloppy, and then I just trimmed it up a little bit. And then what I decided to do for this, I wanted to put this on like a stake of some kind, and you could buy like a dowel or I don't know, anything you wanted. But I had an old broomstick handle from an old broom that I used in the garage, and the broom was messed up and I'd already bought a replacement. So I just used this broom handle, but you could also buy one from the Dollar Tree. or whatever you wanted. And I'm just going in with some super glue gel. This kind of was a mess. I don't know if I did it in the best way possible. It's on a completely flat surface, but I knew I wanted something really sturdy to hold it. So I put some super glue gel, and then I cut up some ribbon there in the beginning, and I wanted to kind of use those to attach over top. So I used a little bit of super glue and then a little bit of hot glue and draped the ribbon over top to just kind of hold it down. It also held it down while it dried. But once again, once I was finished with all of this, I did also put something heavy on top just to secure it down. And I think I did 2 strips across each pumpkin maybe. Just be careful because the hot glue and the super glue will come through that ribbon, and then you have hot glue and super glue on your fingers, which is messy. And then I had a flower pot in my garage that I hadn't used in a while, and I just had this cheap spray paint, and I sprayed it white. It took a little bit of time to get good coverage. It was not a good spray paint, but it got the job done, and I didn't have to go out and buy anything. So that's what I'm going to do here. And then I just took some rocks that we have that I often use on my porch to weight things down to secure this in the bucket, and some leaf garland that I had. I do need to, I think, get something. I need to make the bottom here with a little leaf picks look a little bit nicer, but that's just what I had on hand at the moment. And I love how it came out. And it's a nice size, which was what I was going for. I wanted some bigger pieces for my porch. Moving on to the next one, I have seen something like this done. I believe it was Crafts by Caitlin, and then also recently by Sammy from Unicorn Dust Designs. But I had wanted to make this little pumpkin, is what we're making, and I was going to go to the store and have some woodcut or find some planks from Dollar Tree, and neither one of those happened, but I went shopping in my dad's garage. I went over and said, "Do you have any scrap wood I could have?" And he had these pieces. They were perfect just the way they were. They were a good size, and once again, I'm going in with some wood glue and some hot glue, and I'm just going to attach all 3 of these together. All I did with them was a very rough or light to sand, I should say. I didn't mind if the wood was still rough and textured. I wanted all the knots and all the stuff to show. I just did a light sanding, really just to clean them off because they'd been in the garage. And so we're just going to glue all of these, again, wood glue for the long-term hold, and the hot glue just to help me move along a little bit. Now, the one challenge with these pieces are not exactly like even. So I'm going to, well, you'll see that when we go to do the bottom. For the back here, I just wanted to do a little extra reinforcement, so I pulled these wooden rollers out. They come in a 2-pack from the Dollar Tree, and again, using some wood glue and hot glue, and just doing a couple braces across the back of the piece just to help hold everything together a little bit more, because not all of the side as I put them together were touching, so I hope that makes sense. The planks were not fully touching all the way down, so I just wanted some extra support. Going to go in with some pumpkin from Waverly. I was running low on this, so I had to pour it out on a plate because I couldn't fit my paintbrush in the bottle, and it's getting low. Hopefully I have enough to get me through the rest of my fall DIYs. And I'm going to do a pretty good coat, but also, like I said, not a heavy coat. I'm leaving some gaps in the edges, and I'm not, filling in all the holes and all of that. And we're just going to give this just one coat, but once again, do it however you want for, the look that you are hoping to get. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up. That simple task there helps me out so much. So then I'm going through this little drawer I have that has a bunch of random pieces that I just save off of projects. And I found a wood piece that I thought was a good size to be my stem for the pumpkin. So I'm just going to go in with some antique wax and stain that, just the sides and the front. And I left the bottom blank because I knew you wouldn't be able to see it. And I'm just going to brush some of that on and wipe it off. But you could use, anything, a scrap piece of wood. That's all I did. I just went and found what I had. I was trying to do these DIYs super, super budget friendly, but also have some good size pieces for my porch that could kind of be seen more from a distance. And then I'm going in with the antique wax, and we're just going to do a little bit along the edges, and I'm kind of trying to define in between the planks, and then a little bit on top too, just a little bit of dry brush to, I don't know, age it, rustic it up. Is that a word? Rustic it up, make it more rustic. And I just went until I had the desired look. And then I had this wood piece. This is from the Dollar Tree, but once again, you could use another scrap piece. And I'm just going to use that for my base. Again, this is not a straight piece of wood, so I just drew with a pencil so that I knew where to attach my glue. We're going to paint the base afterwards because I wasn't sure if it would affect the glue sticking, and I really needed this to be a good, um, what am I looking for? Good strong adhesive. I needed it to stick well. So once again, we're using wood glue and a little bit of hot glue, and we're going to attach that to the center. And then I still wanted just a little bit more reinforcement because, like I said, the bottoms were like wavy, so the whole thing was not touching the base, and I really just wanted to help strengthen it. And so I'm going to use some Jenga or tumbling tower blocks from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to use some wood glue. I think that first one I only used wood glue, but then I ended up doing wood glue and hot glue on two sides of it, just to give it a little bit more oomph. I'm not finding good words to describe what I'm doing, but you get it. You want it to be sturdy. This is going to be outside, and I wanted it to be as sturdy as possible. So far so good, but it's not been outside very long, but I think it feels pretty sturdy. So I think this method worked pretty good. And I'm doing the same thing with the wood glue and hot glue, and we're just going to attach the stem. I'm going to do it off to the side just a little bit. I liked it a little bit off-centered. You'll see once my arm gets out of the way. And you may see a lot of mess here. My workstation was a mess because I was really trying to crank out some DIYs, and I was not cleaning up in between. So, and I'm just going to go around with some antique wax, and we're just going to stain the rest of it. Do whatever colors you want. As you know, you do you. It's your DIY. It's either at your house or you're the one selling it, whatever it is. I added a little twine bow and this little burlap leaf from the Dollar Tree. It's just on a wire, so I didn't even attach it. I just bent it around. And I love how it came out. I thought it was really cute. Actually, I was really excited with how this one came out. This came out great. For our final DIY, I love to do little doormats for my porch for the seasons. And I have these stencils that I picked up from Hobby Lobby. I think they're like $1.99, and it came with 2 of them, and I bought them when it was 40% off, but they're 50% off at this point, 50% off. So a really good deal. I do just rinse them off as soon as I'm done because there's got a lot of little intricate pieces and I don't want to have to scrub it. So that would be my tip for you. But I'm just using some pumpkin paint and just taking my time so that it doesn't, bleed because it's not sticking down. And you do need a good amount of paint for it to stick out. But these mats are from the Dollar Tree, and I just layered them on a larger one that I picked up, I don't remember where. And the larger one lasts for a good amount of time too because it's not getting like stepped on. So these ones that are getting stepped on are really cheap, and so if I have to replace them every season, that's fine. And sometimes I put words on mine. This one I decided to just do an image. So I put the pumpkin in the center, and then I just went around with these leaves. This was the other part of this stencil pack. This paintbrush was giving me struggles. I ended up just tossing it and going to the other one, but I alternated with my different colors. I did the orange, which is pumpkin, and then moss from Waverly, and then I did a yellow and red acrylic paint that I just had in my stash. I just went with what I had and did these stencils of the leaves just kind of haphazard around the whole thing. This is such a super easy thing to do, and it just adds a nice pop of color, and I just really enjoy personalizing these for different seasons. So that is it. If you enjoyed this video, once again, please consider subscribing and giving this video a thumbs up. And that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye, guys.